Okay, I'm going to start this video by importing some component families. The video before this had detailed the system families that we used, which were the wall and floor and ceiling elements. So we'll go to the Insert tab and hit Load Family. I have the families I need stored on the desktop. The families I'm going to be bringing in are a chef's counter and a megatop refrigerator. The megatop refrigerator comes with a type catalog, and this type catalog allows the user to select the different family types he wants to bring into his project. The point is, it doesn't force him to bring in each one of these types, which would be clunky and would slow the project down because it would bring in a lot of extra information that he's not going to need and would create a larger file size. I'm going to bring in the largest and smallest version of this file type. That would be the 27 family type. That would be the 27-inch and the 72-inch, and that covers it for the megatop family, which is here. I'm going to select the chef's counter family, which does not have a type catalog, so my job here is done. I can press OK, and these families will be imported into the project. I will not need to load them in again. You can see down here Revit has a loading bar that shows how far it's gone with accomplishing whatever task you've assigned to it. Also in the bottom here you'll find information on an element that you've highlighted. For example, when I highlight these walls, you can see at the bottom right, again it's right down here, at the bottom left, I'm sorry, not right, you'll see walls, basic, generic 8-inch. If I were to select the floor, you see that it tells you exactly what kind of floor that is. It's a useful tool when you have multiple elements on top of each other and you need to figure out which one you're highlighting. For example, I've got a wall here and then I press tab and I'm highlighting all the walls. It tells me that. Press tab one more time and now I'm highlighting the floor, which it tells me. Back to these component families. I'm going to now place one of them by using the component button. First component I'll be placing is this chef's counter, which doesn't exactly look like a chef's counter right now. It needs to be configured. It's the way this family works is by using these drag arrows to stretch it out and tie it into the different fixtures that are going to fit into the chef's counter. So I'm going to bring those fixtures in next, which I've already loaded. That was the megatop. We'll put in a 27-inch megatop and a 30-inch. In order to place these into this chef's counter, I'm going to need to see into the chef's counter, and at present I only can see into it when I highlight it with the cursor. So I'll be changing my visual style to wireframe. And in Revit you'll find that there's a lot of different ways to get what you want done. It's just a matter of finding the most efficient way. For example, instead of clicking down here to change my visual style, I could have used the Properties dialog, selected the view, and changed the visual style here. I find that the most useful or fastest way of using Revit is by utilizing the keyboard shortcuts, which can be accessed by pressing KS on your keyboard, and then you can assign different shortcuts to nearly every command that Revit offers, which is very time-saving. Keyboard shortcuts can also be accessed by going to the options and going to user interface and then hitting customize on keyboard shortcuts. Right now though, we're more interested in getting these families, that is these two specialty equipment families, into this chef's counter. So I've changed my visual style to wireframe, and using the move command I'm going to move the bottom left corner of this megatop to the corner of the chef's counter. Right now it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a gap in between these two, so I'm going to set the visual style to thin lines. I'm sorry, not the visual style, but the display style to thin lines. And now you can see a little clearer that there's a 1/4 of an inch gap there. Using the drag control, I'll drag this sync unit to match up. And these 3 partitions here, 1, 2, and 3, are not necessary since we're only using 2 fixtures, that is these 2 megatops. So here under the properties dialog, you can control the visibility and anything else that you might want to change with the family. I'm sorry, that's not true. There are other options under the edit type button, and you can change other things in the family here. The difference between the options or parameters that are displayed under the edit type button and the ones that are displayed under the properties dialog are that these are instance parameters, and a change in one of these will not cascade across different families of the same type. For example, I could have a copy of this and turn on this partition, and it will not turn the partition on in this one. However, if I were to edit the type and change the plate cabinet depth to 2 feet, we're going to see that both of them will now have a much deeper plate cabinet. We're not going to be using this, so I'm going to delete that out though, and I'll bring this family into place. Oops, didn't place that right. There we go. And then I'll finish up the chef's counter by dragging this arrow to this inference point, and we are set. We now have our chef's counter with 2 fixtures in it. And while I'm placing these in the floor plan view, they are also generated in an elevation view and any other view that you might create that would be looking at this area. For example, I can create a section by hitting that section button there, or by going to the View tab and hitting Section. I can draw a section straight through there, and I will get a section with this geometry depicted. Delete that out for now. That about covers placing components into a project and manipulating them. The next video will cover how to tag these components and generate a equipment schedule.